Why doesn't Python have an instance method function? Why doesn't Python have an instance method function analogous to static method and class method? Here is how this arose for me. Suppose I have an object which I know will be hashed frequently and whose hash is expensive to calculate. Under this assumption, it is reasonable to compute the hash value once and cache it, as in the following toy example. The _hash_ function in this class does very little, just an attribute lookup and a return. Naively, it seems it ought to be equivalent to instead write. According to the documentation, operator.itCreator returns a callable object that fetches the given attribute from its operand. If its operand is self, then it will return self._hash_cache, which is the desired result. Unfortunately, this does not work. The reason for this is as follows. If one reads the descriptor how-to, one finds that class dictionaries store methods as functions. Functions are non-data descriptors whose _get_ method returns a bound method. But operator.itCreator does not return a function, it returns a callable object. And in fact, it is a callable object with no _get_ method. Lacking a _get_ method, this of course will not automatically be turned into a bound method. We can make a bound method from it using types.method type, but using it in our class B would require creating a bound method for every object instance and assigning it to _hash_. We can see the fact that operator.itCreator has no _get_ directly if we browse the Python source. I'm not very familiar with the Python API, but I believe that what's going on is as follows. The definition of the itCreator type is in module/_operator.c at line 1439 as I write this. This type sets tp_disk_get to 0. And according to the type object documentation, that means an object whose type is itCreator type will not have a _get_. Of course, if we give ourselves a _get_ method, then everything works. This is the case in the first example above, where _hash_ is actually a function and not just a callable. It's also true in some other cases. For example, if we want to look up a class attribute, we could write the following. As written, this is terribly unPythonic, though it might be defensible if there were a strange custom _getIt_ for which we wanted to provide convenience functions. But at least it gives the desired result. I can't think of any reason why it would be bad for itCreator type to implement _get_. But on the other hand, even if it did, there would be other situations where we run into trouble. For example, suppose we have a class whose instances are callable. We can't use an instance of this class as a class attribute and expect instance lookups to generate bound methods. For instance, when d._call_ is called, it will receive self but not other, and that generates a type error. This example might be a little far-fetched, but I'd be a little surprised if nobody had ever encountered something like this in practice. It could be fixed by giving dir_get_ method, but if dir is from a third-party library, that could be inconvenient. It seems that the easiest solution would be to have an instance method function. Then we could write _hash_ equals instance method operator.itCreator_hash_cache and apply _d equals instance method d, and they would both work as intended. Yet, as far as I know, no such function exists. Hence my question, why is there no instance method function? Edit. Just to be clear, the functionality of instance method would be equivalent to this could be applied as in the original question above. One could also imagine writing a class decorator that could be applied to D that would give it a _get_ method, but this code doesn't do this. So I'm not talking about adding a new feature to Python. Really the question is one of language design. Why not provide it as, say, functools.instanceMethod? If the answer is simply, the use cases are so obscure that nobody's bothered, that's okay. But I would be happy to learn about other reasons, if there are any.
I have a satisfying answer to my question. Python does have the internal interface necessary for an instance method function, but it's not exposed by default. The instance method function this creates works in essentially the same way as class method and static method. These three functions return new objects of types instance method, class method, and static method, respectively. We can see how they work by looking at objects/funcobject.c. These objects all have _func_ members which store a callable object. They also have a _get_. For a static method object, the _get_ returns _func_ unchanged. For a class method object, _get_ returns a bound method object, where the binding is to the class object. And for a static method object, _get_ returns a bound method object, where the binding is to the object instance. This is precisely the same behavior as _get_ for a function object and is exactly what we want. The only documentation on these objects seems to be in the Python C API here. My guess is that they're not exposed because they're so rarely needed. I think it would be nice to have pyinstanceMethod _new available as functools.instanceMethod.
There is no instance method decorator because this is the default behavior for functions declared inside a class. Any callable which does not have a _get_ method can thus be wrapped into an instance method like so. Thus creating an instance method decorator would just add another syntax for a feature which already exists. This would go against the saying that there should be one and preferably only one obvious way to do it. Side note. If it is so expensive to hash your instances, you might want to avoid calling uhash function on instantiation and delay it for when the object are hashed. One way to do that could be to set the attribute _hash_cache in _hash_ instead of _init_. Although, let me suggest a slightly more self-contained methods which relies on caching your hash. The use of finalize ensures the cache is cleared of an id when its instance is garbage collected.
I fjorden tar seg en mare, det er sett som himmels oppstriving.